Hello, you're watching Encore. Coming up on today's music show. The Red Hot Chili Peppers are making a break for the border with their 11th studio album, The Getaway. Neil Young sends us a message about the future of our planet. And we take a look at the anthems hoping to score points with football fans this summer. For all of that, I'm joined by our music critic, Mark Thompson. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Olivia.
Well, we'll be just moving on to your opinion in a minute, but we're starting with a band who've spent more than 30 years in the business, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're about to release their 11th album. It's called Getaway. And before you give us a preview, Mark, let's listen to the record's title track.
So that was the title track, The Getaway. As you can see, there wasn't an official music video for that just yet. We do know they are recording a new music video for their second single, Dark Necessities, though. That's with the comedy actress Olivia Wilde directing that. Now, one of the things it's quite reassuring about this record is it does sound like a Red Hot Chili Peppers record, but it sounds like a modern Red Hot Chili Peppers record. This isn't something they could have made a decade ago. I mean, there's even a cameo from Elton John in here playing piano. That's not something you'd definitely have associated that band with. That said, Anthony Kiedis still sounds like Anthony Kiedis, and Flea's bass still sounds like Flea's bass. And Chad Smith, his drums, he still looks like Will Ferrell, but his drums are a bit more mature than they have been in previous records. There's a bit more subtlety to them, and that's very reassuring. But I feel like the problem with these Red Hot Chili Peppers records are that they don't have the guitarist that I always associate with them, and that's John Frusciante. We have Josh Klinghoffer in his place, a good friend of the band, but we don't really have the same tone, the same riffs, and the same intelligence that I think Frusciante's always brought to the better Red Hot Chili Peppers records.
Now, in terms of the band's image, they first made their name by their kind of outrageous on-stage antics, their kind of punk aesthetic. Have they mellowed a bit with age?
Yes, they've kind of been pulling back from this rock and roll attitude for a little while. We don't have them coming on doing their encores naked with socks around their genitals anymore. I think that's a treat for all of us. I think for this record, though, in particular, a lot of kudos has to go to Danger Mouse, the album's producer, because when he came in, he told them to get rid of the songs they'd been working on for the record and to write with him. And I think that helped balance out the two sounds very well.
Okay, so more modern take. Well, we're moving to a man with even more experience than the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Neil Young. He's back with a new album called Earth, and I think we can guess from the title alone, this is an environmentally conscious album.
He's always been the king of the protest song for 40, 50 years now. And this is a collection of 13 songs from across that timeline. There is a slight twist, though. As you say, it's environmentally conscious, and he's brought the environment to the record as well. We have the wind howling between each single, which is it's actually quite nice and quite atmospheric. But we also have the sound of dogs and birds and whales incorporated into these songs, and they were recorded as they were in the nature and not manufactured at all in the studio, which is a very nice touch. If you want to get away from the message and just focus on the music, though, it's very nice taking this journey from Neil Young's music in the 70s through to the modern day and just see how his writing has evolved. He has similar themes running through the record, though. He takes aim at GM foods, corporate greed, and particularly America's agricultural sector and the problems that it's facing at this moment. I think that he is kind of playing into this image that people have of him at the moment. Him and his good friend Jack White seen as a bit curmudgeon-y in the US at the moment. But let's have a listen, see what you think. This is a song from the album. This is called The Message.
Well, we're moving to something very different now. Modern music from France. Nekfeu, he won the Best Urban Music Album at the Victoire de la Musique this year. That's the French version of the Grammys, more or less. He had a huge success with his debut solo album last summer, but now he's back with a group.
He's actually been in two groups in the past, and that's 1995 and S Crew, which are two groups that he has with his childhood friends, and that's kind of how he got into the business to begin with. And French rap music is really going through a big purple patch at the moment, and Nekfeu's kind of positioned himself in the middle of two extremes. So we have on the one side we have Booba and Major Gims, which is the kind of the pop element, and then we have new artists like PNL and SH who are a bit more edgy. And so what we end up with is the sort of very mellow production from the pop elements, but also the sort of more violent and a bit edgier lyrics from the other side. I feel like he's kind of trapped in the middle. I'm not sure. I think he needs to pick a side sooner or later.
Okay, so not quite a winning formula for you. Well, while Nekfeu scored Best Urban Artist at the Victoire de la Musique, French singer Luanne won Best Newcomer. She first made her name on the French version of The Voice television show. Since then, she's sold over 1 million albums. Catherine Viette takes a look at her rise to stardom.
A life on the road. Luanne is on tour through August. A few photos on the platform, always with a big smile. The young singer has conquered the hearts of teenagers across France. Her fans think nothing of braving the rain for hours before her concert.
She's pretty, and she's a great singer.
A great singer who loves practicing with her musicians. It's part of her daily routine.
J'adore chanter, c'est un truc que j'aime faire.
I love to sing. I sing all day, everywhere, all the time.
Partout, tout le temps. Je ne veux plus savoir.
Her first album sold more than 1 million copies and won a Victoire de la Musique, the French equivalent of a Grammy Award. She also won a French Academy Award for her role in the French film The Bélier Family. Just 19 years old, Luanne has become a big star, packing concert halls. Before a performance, she says she doesn't feel the pressure, even if there are thousands of fans waiting to listen to her sing. Her concert is a real celebration for her fans.
In my concert, there is something very warm, something that's really uplifting, a real moment of happiness. And I hope the audiences feel like that too.
The happiness and the joy are also shared after the concert as she greets her young fans and signs autographs. Luanne is following her own path with an open heart.
Now, Luanne was one of the performers who helped kick off the Euros here last week. Of course, the football tournament has taken over the country and will be doing so for the next month. As always, there's an official anthem. This summer, it's David Guetta who's responsible for that one. That's going to be a song that's hard to avoid, I think.
Yeah, very much so. We've already had a lot of it. And it's the opening and the closing song. It's the goal music. It's at the start and end of every television broadcast. So if you've done well to avoid it so far, then I just don't fancy your chances for the rest of the tournament. I just for a football anthem, especially the official anthem of the whole tournament, you want a song that's going to get everyone together, that people are going to remember the chorus and everyone's going to get along. He's recruited Sara Larsson from a Swedish singer, and she does her job very well. She comes in and she plays the role that she's there to play. But I just don't believe this is a song that people are going to remember and take with them outside of this tournament. And going back to this show that Luanne played the other week, before this show got underway, I just felt like it was a very big missed opportunity. We had a great opportunity with all of the world's eyes suddenly on Paris to reinvent what people think of French music. And instead of having interesting artists like Christine and the Queens and the Avener, Lilywood and the Prick, Phoenix, M83, these really interesting artists that could help modernize how people see French music. We have just a very beige set of artists with the greatest respect to them.
A shame you weren't in charge there. So perhaps if you're not a fan of David Guetta, you could adopt one of the other official anthems going around at the moment. What do you recommend?
You can, but again, in my opinion, you'd have to have bad taste in music because they are notoriously terrible, and I don't think this year's an exception. The French have kind of outdone themselves because they've picked a band I really hate, covering a song I really hate, in a way I really hate. And that's Skip the East singing the Kisses, I Was Made for Loving You. And it's just, again, it's not I don't understand the choice behind that song in the slightest. And these are the images that you can see here. The Welsh, they've picked a good band in the Manic Street Preachers, a very Welsh band. As soon as you think of them, you think of the country. But even for them, I feel like the song itself is very well beneath them in terms of the lyrics and in terms of the melody. It's not their best music in the slightest. The British, on the other hand, they have Four Lions, which is Shaun Ryder and Paul Oakenfold together. It's a very 90s feel to that, but again, it's just not a very memorable song. But across all of this, I feel like I'm quite biased because there's only really one football anthem that I've loved, and that was Football's Coming Home from the Euro 96 World Cup.
Well, an extraordinarily
Euro 96,
subjective
sorry.
choice
It is,
there.
but it's the one I always go to.
Well, in the end, it all matters what happens on the pitch, not in the charts, of course. Thank you, Mark, for being with us. We'll finish the show with a selection of those anthems. Remember, you can get more arts and culture news on our website. Encore is also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Solidarity, solidarity.